Okay, thank you all for coming. I'm going to welcome you all to the Woodrow Wilson poster session. Most of you know me. My name is Stephen David. I'm a professor of political science, and I direct the Woodrow Wilson program. We're going to have just a brief half-hour or so ceremony, and then people are free to go back to the food and the posters. And speaking of the posters, it's great to see the posters, which I know represent years of research and hard work. And every year I see these posters, and they're a great counter-argument to those who cast skepticism on the Woodrow Wilson program. I mean, those who said the program would never work essentially made two arguments. One, undergraduates can't do research. I mean, they're too young, they're too inexperienced, they don't know what they're doing, as opposed to graduate students and faculty, but that's another story. And secondly, if they can do research, maybe the scientists can do it, but not the humanists and the social scientists. That, okay, I can put someone in my lab, but you can't have someone doing research outside the sciences. And both of these arguments are dramatically refuted by what you see behind you. Now, for some of you, this research will be the beginning of a path of research that builds on the work you've done at Hopkins. And for others of you, this research ends here. But all of you have had the experience of research. You all know what it means to experience not just pursuing knowledge, not just acquiring knowledge, but creating knowledge. And that truly is priceless. And the Wilsons, as many of you know, have gone on to do great things. You've gone on to the best graduate schools, the best law schools, the best medical schools, the best jobs. You've won all the best fellowships, including Rhodes, Marshalls, Goldwaters, Fulbrights, and Trumans. And I'm happy to say this year we have something special. One of our own Wilson alumna has accepted a position as a professor in the political science department. So we have someone who, like you, went through the Woodrow Wilson program and is now on her way to being a tenured professor at Johns Hopkins. So that's a special kick for those of you who've watched this program grow. And I'd like to think, when I think of the success of all of you, that the Woodrow Wilson program has had something to do with this. Look, in part, we take the best and move them along and don't screw you up too badly. But in part, I hope that the experiences you've had resonate in doing other things. Now, in accounting for the success of the program, obviously there are many people to thank. I'd like to thank the mentors, some of whom are here, who have selflessly provided the advice and time. I'd like to thank the professors who've provided the basis for much of your work. And maybe most of all, special thanks to the person who's made all this happen, Amy Cox. Amy, please stand up. And now, one more person to thank. You can't have a program like the Woodrow Wilson program without the support of the dean. You need friends in high places to make programs like this survive and thrive. And in Beverly, Wendland, we have someone who is the dean, who is a true friend and supporter of the Woodrow Wilson program. So please join me in welcoming Dean Wendland, who will make some brief remarks.
Thank you, Stephen. And I also want to echo my thanks to Amy and to the mentors for helping guide our great students through their exciting projects that they've been able to conduct during their time as Woodrow Wilson Fellows. The Woodrow Wilson Fellows program really is, I think, a hallmark of the Hopkins experience. It really highlights the strengths that Hopkins brings to the educational opportunities for students that can come to Hopkins, and you guys are like the lovely floating cream on the top of all that we do around here. And I've certainly enjoyed meeting many of you. One of my favorite things to do at the beginning of the school year is to come to the Woodrow Wilson welcome reception that we have each late August, early September. It's so exciting to get to see all of these, the great students that we have, and I love how Amy has connected all of you sort of vertically through your time at Hopkins so that the newer students can learn from the more senior students, continue that network beyond to the ones who've already graduated, up to the point where now we will have a new faculty member, as Stephen mentions, who can presumably also serve as a new mentor for all of you. I think it's such exciting work that you all do, and I remember coming to this reception last spring, and being so inspired and amazed by the projects that I was seeing on the posters and hearing about in these oral presentations. I happen to know firsthand that the first one we're going to be hearing about is very exciting because I was treated to a preview version of it last weekend, and so I won't stand in the way any longer of the sharing of the work that some of our graduating seniors have done during their time as Woodrow Wilson Fellows. So thank all of you for being here, for sharing the work that you have been doing with us, with each other, and for all the great things that you're going to do going forward in the world.